All right, folks, and welcome to another edition of PPR Esports. I am your host, Best Teon, joined today by IB Na, and we are coming to you live from the Shanghai International Circuit for our 100% Grand Prix of the week. Let me run you through everything real quick. Shanghai International Circuit, it is 56 laps around. It is a circuit length of 5.4 kilometers or 3.3 miles, 16 turns, 9 to the right, and 7 to the left. There are going to be two DRS detection zones, one before the pit straight as well as one before the long back straight through Sector 3. The lap record currently held by Michael Schumacher at a 132.2. IB, how are we doing today, bud?
Hanging in there, just having another great day here, hanging out inside most of the day. Pretty warm outside here in City, but in Shanghai, um, we'll find out what the weather is like here shortly. Hopefully, it's a dry condition for these drivers. I know a lot of them haven't had much practice, and it's gonna definitely spice things up here. Maybe we'll see somebody pip Ginger Horizon off of his podium positions, and we'll see a couple of other drivers get up there.
Yeah, certainly. We could be in for a very good one. And it looks like we've got a wet qualifying to start. And does that say laps 105? There may have been an issue there. I'm not entirely sure.
No, it looks like we have a
There we
full
go.
quality here.
Full. There we go. And we got the race back to full screen there. Taking a quick look at things, nobody really leaving the pits yet. A lot of the drivers probably going to start thinking about what the setups they're going to want to go with today. What do you think? Is it better to go for a compromised race setup and maybe go for more of a wet qualifying setup, or to just stick with maybe a dry setup and try and brave the wet conditions?
So I think I'm going to try to stay as dry as possible, as it looks like we have a McLaren leaving the pit lane right now. So I personally, I would try to stay as dry. I don't think we're going to have a wet race. Maybe they have a third eye and their crew chief can let them know that they are going to have that wet race or not. And we'll just have to see how things go from there. It's going to be interesting.
Certainly, and with a wet qualifying does mean free strategy choice if you qualify outside the top 10, correct?
That is correct. Well, no, even inside the top 10. So let's say that we have a dry race and a wet quali. That means that all drivers will be able to actually choose what tire they start on, which could be critical. I know a lot of drivers typically like to obviously qualify on a little bit harder compound if they can in that upper field. That way they can go a little bit deeper into the race. Or we may see vice versa. We may see people say, hey, I've got a fresh set of softs here. Softs are always super aggressive. Get me a little bit more pace at the beginning. Maybe I can run away and pull a gap or make up a couple of spaces.
Yeah, no kidding. And Ginger Horizon already out right now. Driver's going to be desperately trying to find the grip here on the track. What are the keys to a wet race in Shanghai?
I think it's really just going to be being very careful with that throttle. Obviously, you got corners like this, a lot of bank corners here into turn one, and then here at the end of the track, and they're low grip already, unless you have enough downforce on the car. And if these drivers are running on that drier setup instead of a higher downforce setup, they're going to really have to dance around this track and just make sure that they respect it so they don't get offline or spin the car around.
I'll tell you what, during my league race here, we had a dry qualifying, but then we had a wet race, and I completely botched everything here. The back end gets really unsettled through a lot of these high speed corners where you kind of want to be on the power, but the car desperately just wants to swap ends. Oversteer really is your worst enemy. Ginger Horizon now on his flying lap. Let's see what the first time to beat is into the second part of the twisty downhill bit, flying into Sector 2. That McLaren looking a little tentative now, just trying to find the grip on the track. Into the first hard braking zone, braking right before the 50 board, turning in nice and late, trying to look for a good exit there before heading into the long left-hander, taking it about fourth gear. Looks like he'll keep it in fifth there. Turning in for the next turn. Again, real long corners here at Shanghai. So it's really easy to kind of get offline and send yourself flying into the runoff if you're not careful, especially in wet conditions. Flying into the next big braking zone before the next DRS detection, braking well before the 50 board. Ooh, going to go a little deep there, but he's got the purple sector, so let's see how he does. And that's a car off. That is a Renault off in Sector 2. Can you get eyes on if there's any damage? Is that double OT or is that going to be Nick?
Looks like it would have had to been Nick. Let's see if I can get any damage on his car. Of course, the cameras are not wanting to play friendly right now.
Oh, of course not, no. Especially once we're under stream here. Ooh, we're going to run real wide at the last corner there. But it looks like Ginger Horizon, 145.2, folks. 145.2. That is on the intermediate tire. That is your time to beat so far. Got a couple more cars, I think, finishing up their flying laps at the moment. It's like Deluxe
Cord.
Yep, double OT next, and King Kirk, all within about a couple tenths of one another. Double OT setting a 153. Ginger Horizon setting, looks like a new fastest time. Or no, that was the fastest time, 145.2. And that's a car stopped on the back straight.
That looks to be the Renault of PPR Nick.
Indeed, with the engine glitch. Can you see that? Or is that just my screen?
Yeah, I can. I can. RPM's maxed out.
Yes. Which I'm sure everyone loves to hear.
I mean, that's a good way to take care of those Renault engines, you know. Got to make sure that they're extremely reliable and just can handle that max RPM the full time, right?
And let's say we got our first off of the qualifying, and that's DeShadow Wolf getting a little bit of front wing damage there on the Haas car. He'll probably have to come back around and pit for a fresh wing. But there's your first top 10 times there. Here's your tentative order as it stands. Ginger Horizon leading Brackish, leading Deluxe Cord. Those are your podium paying positions at the moment. Behind them are Lord Dark Ghost, King Kirk, Ollie's, Fantis, Money Hustard, Brawny Man, Double OT, and then Nick in P11. Night Shrimp, Rustable, and Easy Breeze still have not left the pits. But Easy Breeze now on his outlip.
Maybe hoping for it to dry up here a little bit. Really excited to see Deluxe Cord up there. Deluxe Cord obviously coming straight off of a win from yesterday in Division 3. Brackish, you know, always got to be up there in the top as well, throwing his name in the hat. Got a couple drivers here in the 145s. How many more drivers do you think we'll see crank down into the 145s? You think we'll see a couple more?
I would say anyone from about Deluxe Cord to King Kirk could be good to find those extra couple tenths, as they're already kind of on the cusp at the moment. You never know. You know, the grip can change so much lap to lap in the wet. You never know if one line's faster on one lap or it's going to be as fast on the next lap. But you can kind of see the Codemasters does a good job of this in the game. You can kind of start to see that racing line start to stand out against the asphalt there. So if you can just keep an eye on that, if you're a driver, do your best to maybe turn in early. I noticed that's a really good way to get these cars to rotate well in the wet without, you know, spinning it into a wall. Just turning in just slightly earlier. They do tend to listen to you a little more.
Double OT practicing some of his, you know, rally and Formula Drift skills back here in the intersection.
I was going to say
a little bit of opposite lock on.
I'm watching him right now as well. I couldn't tell if that was intentional or not. Definitely style points there.
I don't think any of this is intentional at this point, but he does seem to have a purple sector too. So we'll have to see how he can improve here on this lap.
Yeah, that Renault is looking very planted. He's very tentative on the traction into the back straight here. No DRS since it is wet out, so he will just have to rely on his momentum and pick his braking point here accordingly. Oh, way offline there. Not sure what that was about. Coolest tires, perhaps?
Possibly. So it looked like John actually pipped Ginger Horizon, and then Ginger Horizon said, watch this, and ended up cranking out a 144.3. I believe that's almost a full second off of his initial banker time from his first outing.
Very much so. That's an incredible time here in the wet. 144.3. That is your time to beat. We've got now Deluxe Cord throwing the gauntlet down. He's on his outlap. We've got, do we have Ronin perhaps or Brackish on flyers at the moment?
Looks like Brackish might be on a flyer. He is coming around the final corner right now onto the straight. We'll have to see what his time adds up
There
to.
you
And
go.
that's a podium.
Yes, that is not just a podium. That is a pole position for the Toro Rosso driver. 1:44.3 time to beat. So it looks like the top 5 drivers won't wait for it to dry up. They'll just go ahead and throw caution to the wind.
I mean, might as well, right? If it does dry up at all, obviously they'll have a completely different set of tires. So, burn up all the intermediates you can and just try to take the top spot. I don't see any reason why not. It does look like that we have a couple other drivers kind of in a little bit of a train here coming around the final corner and onto the back straight there. So maybe trying to pull a little bit of slipstream. It looks like the alphas are kind of stacked here as well.
Yes, I can see that on the track map at the moment. That's a Racing Point starting their flyer right now. Deluxe Cord rounding the hairpin, about to get on his flying lap. What do you think, IB? Besides the long back straight and pit straight, what is your favorite overtaking place on this track?
So I'm a little cheeky, and I like to do it obviously down into one, two, three, four. So that really tight kind of hairpin that we have there at the top of the track. And then I also really, really like trying to hold enough speed through turn 5 into turn 6 and maybe go around the outside of turn 6, so on turn 7 I can take that inside corner if I can get there deep enough. I'm a little cheeky though.
That's a
And
very
I'll
brave thing to do, to say the least.
little Max Verstappenus.
Yeah, I was going to say round the outside of Interlagos in the wet. I just was watching that replay on the F1 YouTube the other day. It's really, really mind-boggling stuff how he could find that line in the wet.
I thought you were trying to refer back to our 5-lapper Thursdays there in the wet Interlagos.
No, that was we don't talk about that. For those of you at home wondering what it is we're referring to, I lost out on intermediates to someone on slicks in the wet. Pretty embarrassing to say the least, but a bruised ego is, it's not life-threatening, luckily.
Hey, I mean, that race was tough. We'll just be honest there. Looks like we have a Red Bull going slow there at the end of sector 2, maybe trying to set up stuff for the back straight, letting a couple cars go by. Not too worried about that.
Deluxe Cord now finishing up his flyer here, rounding the hairpin, sitting at about a 130. Let's see if he decides to back off maybe. He's got the power down, trying to find the traction now. Into the left-hander. Power down again, and he will not improve his time substantially, it would seem. Only a 1:45.6. That will move him up a position in front of Easy Breeze, but will still put him about a whole second and a half shy of Ginger Horizon.
Ginger Horizon here putting a god tier performance though, pipping again Brackish, improving all the way down to almost a 143. We're at a 144.1. I really wasn't expecting seeing times this quick in the wet.
Yeah, certainly not, especially considering the track record here is only about 10 seconds faster, and that's on a race fuel load. So these drivers certainly not really worried about anything in the wet, just trying to get some fast lap times. And like you said, though, since you only have the intermediate tires for this session, you might as well just grind them up and spit them out.
Well, intermediates are full wet. I mean, and nobody's going to put on full wet. This is nowhere near full wet condition. It looks like it's actually lightening up a little bit on the sky. Watching King Kirk here, trying to see if he can maybe jump back up into that top 5. Hopefully he can get some grip together coming through these last few corners before the back straight.
Is that him right now entering sector 3?
That is correct.
Why don't we finish up the lap with him? I'll turn the cameras over to King Kirk. Into the right-hander. Let's see how this Ferrari's looking. Taking a bit of a wide line through there, but it looks like he's going to have a very strong exit for the straight. Ferrari looking nice and fast in the wet. Let's see how he does on the back straight. 7th gear. Let's see where he'll shift for 8th. Right at the DRS line. That's a Red Bull stopped on track. And it looks like he's collected another car. Can we get some eyes on that? That's Dark Ghost and Shadow Wolf coming together. Dark Ghost getting served a 5-place grid penalty for his collision. Not sure what happened there, but that Red Bull is missing half of a front wing, and the Haas car is not moving. Let's have a look at him.
That is absolutely huge.
That is the Haas car of DeShadow, yes, and he is rocking some nasty damage there, it would seem. The Red Bull was stopped, and I guess the Haas might not have seen him as he came around the corner.
I think the Haas is trying to be as respectful as they can, make sure he stays out of the way of other cars coming onto the straight here, of course. Finally getting back on the track.
Yeah, poor DeShadow Wolf hasn't even set a time yet either. So let's hope they can get their feet back under them and get back out here. Brackish on an outlap now. John on his flyer, I believe. Oh, he will abort that into the pits. So John not looking to improve on this particular lap.
You know, is it wrong of me to kind of miss that little sand trap that we used to have there going into the pits where Lewis got messed up?
I was going to say, you must not be a McLaren fan.
Not a Lewis fan, as we all know. A little unpopular opinion, I know, but I'm a huge Ferrari fan through and through. Have been.
Well, then I won't bother asking you who's better between him and Schumacher, because I think I already know the answer.
That's not even a question to ask, is it? I think Schumi, when he came back into the sport, prepped Mercedes for Lewis.
Perhaps they did. I was just thinking about it myself today on the toilet, comparing Spygate to the current Ferrari engine shenanigans that no one seems to get a figure on. Whether or not McLaren blatantly cheated, history will have to decide for that. It seems to me that they were really none the wiser about anything. But the way that all shook out compared to how Ferrari's kind of got their engine thing going on, people don't seem to be happy about the way it went down.
There's always been speculation in the sport, and that's part of the reason I absolutely love it. I mean, in the early in late 90s, after the ban of all the driving and things like that, there's rumor that one of Schumacher's cars had launch control programmed into the wheel, and you had to insert kind of a cheat code, if you would, like you would on a controller, in order to activate it for his starts and stuff like that. And there's even interviews where his teammate Rubens at the time was really confused about how is he getting such better starts than me.
So, the infamous launch control.
Exactly. I watched something earlier today, though, even about Senna's driving style and how it was extremely intriguing, because most of us drivers, as we know, we are trying to be as smooth as we possibly can with that throttle and not apply too much to kick out the back end. But Senna did a very interesting, very quick
he pumps the gas. Isn't that right? Yeah, he pumps the gas.
I was like, what is this? How do you even do that effectively? I mean, I can't do it on a sim. I have a feeling I could do it in, the car out in the lot, but...
That reminds me of the brake pumping technique. Have you ever given that any try?
Yeah, I've definitely tried that. I'm more of a let me brake hard and then lighten up in order to get through the corner kind of a person. I try to get all
the good old-fashioned trail brake.
Yeah, I try to get all of my braking done before I actually get to the corner and make it to where I'm just about to turn in is where I've hit the right speed for it. Personally, that's my driving style, though.
Well, then you and I are definitely one and the same there. Ginger Horizon now on his flyer already set a purple Sector 1. I think he's going to try and reset his pole time just one last time in the session now. Let's see how he does into the timing board at Sector 2, and that will be another purple sector. Wow.
It's just putting the nail in the coffin here, really establishing. So obviously he had bad luck qualifying last week. So it's really nice to see him do a little bit higher, be a little bit higher up the field. But man, that guy's pace is just unbelievable.
And it looks like we've got a McLaren going slow through Sector 3. Does that appear to be perhaps a spin for Night Shrimp or maybe some damage?
Let's take a look. Doesn't look like any damage on the car. I wonder.
And Ginger Ginger went off in Sector 3. He was not able to improve on that time. Car caught a nasty snap of oversteer out of the hairpin. Not sure what happened there.
Looks like Shrimp had the same issue, and it just kind of pulled him wide. King Kirk has qualified, has completed. Let's see who is next across the line. Looks like we've got a Mercedes, Sprightly, crossing the line, improving up into 15th. Got a Red Bull coming across of Dark Ghost.
It's like Brackish now finishing up his flyer. Easy Breeze going to retire. Was that a car stopped on track by the start of Sector 3?
Looks like we've got a retirement from both of the Force Indias. It looks like it's Force India on the inside. And then in Sector 2 right there, it looked like we had a Williams of PPR Ollie's stopped there as well. Ollie's just celebrating his birthday yesterday, so hopefully he's looking for a little bit of a birthday present here today, trying to improve on his race from last night.
Well, we'll have to see. Obviously, these wet qualies do create very interesting grids, though it does seem the front is very top heavy. That's not to say that Ollie's is a very fast driver there. Nick's very fast. I wouldn't count Money Hustard out. Of course, I got to shout out my teammate Sprightly. Brave of him to do this on a controller, but he's decided that's what he'd like to do. So can't fault him there. And let's have a look. Sorry about that. Let's have a look at the starting order here. Ginger Horizon P1, ARL Brackish P2, Lord Dark Ghost P3. Bringing up the rest of the field is Deluxe Cord, John, Double OT, Nick, Ronan, Easy Breeze, and Fantas. Those are your points paying positions. Behind them in P11, starting there, is Money Hustard, then King Kirk, Brawny Man, Ollie's, Sprightly, Groggy Oregano, Rustable to Shadow, and Night Shrimp. Let's have a look here. Can you see who has penalties after the next loading screen in Race Director? Because I think there might have been a few 5-place grid penalties handed out during that session.
Absolutely. I'll double check here.
Brawny Man has let me know in the chat that he will be engaging launch control at the start.
Engaging what?
Brawny Man says he's got a launch control on his car, so we'll have to see how that goes.
I think that means he's going to let the AI do it for him.
Hey, that, like you said, speculation. It's a part of the sport.
So under incidents, it will not actually show me anything race grid penalties from quali, unfortunately.
Very unfortunate. I can see there are some people saying they are dropped 5. I'm seeing Dark Ghost is getting dropped down to P8. Not sure about anyone else at the moment, but I think we'll see the grid in just a moment and get a much better view of things. Oh, this is a very long lap around here, and it looks to me as though we'll have a dry race. Wow, that's our pole sitter on the hard compounded tire.
That is going to be extremely crucial then for him to get the correct amount of heat into these tires on this opening lap. Otherwise, he is just going to struggle. But we do know that Ginger is extremely comfortable on hard tires. We've seen him do it multiple times, go astonishing distances.
He does like those road trips, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
So, real quick, folks, we have out of our top 10 runners, all are on the soft compounded tire, minus John, Brackish, and Ginger Horizon. And then through the rest of the field, all softs except for King Kirk, Brawny Man, Groggy Oregano, and Easy Breeze. What's the strat here, IB?
I'll be 100% honest with you. Any racing here, and I didn't do any practice at this because I knew I'd be up here in the booth today. But I would assume that for a 100% race here, it's probably going to be a 2-stop strategy. I would assume on 56 laps. I think we're going to see a soft, medium, soft, or soft, medium for the fastest times around here. Somebody might try to pull off a 1-stop like Brackish or John here starting on the mediums and try to make those last out as long as they can and go to the hards till the end.
What about Ginger? Is he going hard medium?
If I had to make a guess knowing Ginger, I would definitely say he's going to go hard medium, or he's going to really try to push those tires to the maximum as he does with his hard compounds. Maybe go hard soft.
That would be quite the softs are good for about 10 to 15 laps. in these 100% races?
I think they're about, yeah, 15 to 17, I think is the exact ballpark for him. So I know that that's what it was last week for us. It was about 17 laps. So I pushed softs 22 laps at Bahrain. This is a very different track. Um, I don't know if this track is going to eat them up the same way, though. But here we go. We're getting ready to rock and roll.
Very much so. And the last cars are approaching the grid right now. That is Easy Breeze bringing up the rear in the Racing Point car. All right, folks, 56 laps of Shanghai. We've got almost a full grid. Let's see what our drivers have in store for us today. And that's lights out, and we are underway from Shanghai. All the drivers getting a really good getaway there. Looks like that McLaren didn't quite get his tires fired up, and that looks to be the Toro Rosso up the inside of Deluxe Cord, trying to keep that line. That's got a Haas driver trying to follow him through of John. And that's a McLaren getting mounted by a Red Bull. Oh, my goodness. What is happening here through turn 2? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I'm blown away here. I've never seen quite an overtaking move like that in watching F1 for about 20 years now. But extremely impressive. Good job, Deluxe Cord.
And no damage to either car from what I can see. So, folks, if you're taking notes at home, keep an eye out for any submarine overtakes because it looks like our cars can now levitate. Dark Ghost getting up a lot of positions there at the start, now up to P4. Brawny Man falling down the order here. Let's have a look who are the biggest winners and losers out of that. And that's a full safety car. Full safety car already on this first lap.
Brawny Man has spun around.
Brawny Man has spun around. How is his car looking? Looks to me as though he's got most of his front wing. Missed an end plate?
Yeah, it looks like he's missing the right side end plate from what I can tell. But other than that, no real damage. Hopefully he can get back around.
Yes, and Nick is missing an end plate as well, I can see. Curious to see if they decide to stay out in the race this long. Though a pit under safety car right now would probably save them those 6 seconds, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. If I was going to do anything, it would be we have to wait for anyways to catch up. And, you know, he's got to pit as well. So that we've got at least 3 or 4 cars here that need to pit.
Wonderful. Well, we're passing the pit lane right now. No one in quite yet. Having a look down the field here now as we have the drivers turning into the last corner. And that's going to be the Haas of DeShadow into the pits. That's the Williams of Ollie's into the pits. Nick and Brawny Man into the pits. All over the place on the pit entry. Not sure what's going on there. Groggy, Oregano, and Ronan. That's going to be loads of cars into the pits. Wow. Ronan getting served a 5-second time penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. Having a quick look down the field, Nick, unfortunately, who is in a very favorable position off the start, same with Ronan, they are both down quite a few positions now after having to pit. Night Shrimp, though, up to P9 from P18. So a really good start for him. Same with Dark Ghost, up 4 positions, and Deluxe Cord coming from the second row now to lead this race under safety car. Though he is going to be on a different strategy than his cohorts here. All 3 top runners actually on different tire strategies. What is your initial thoughts about that, IB?
I think Ginger really needs to get some heat in his tires if he wants to have a chance and doesn't want to lose another position here on this restart. Obviously, Dark is going to have the advantage here behind in Deluxe Cord. We've already seen that he's got an advantage on this softer compound. So if Ginger doesn't get these tires, up to temperature and keep them hot during the safety car period, I think we could see him losing a few more positions. I'm really surprised that none of our bottom drivers there that had to pit ended up going on a hard compound. Can't speak. They all went medium and soft.
Yeah, that is curious. Maybe they feel that the giving up some of that tire life for grip might be more important at this track. Those hard tires here at Shanghai, you can't really afford to run in dirty air for too long. Otherwise, you really won't be gaining or maybe utilizing that advantage that you'd get by running that harder compound. So running the softer compound with less tire life, you might be able to keep pace with the pack better that way and run in dirty air longer.
I'll take you back to France and remind you that Ginger ran 26 laps behind two cars on their bumpers within a second on hard compound
That's a
tire.
great
Maybe the
point.
track difference, but if it's the same compound, I don't know what hard compound we're running here.
Well,
It could be
then
very interesting.
in that case, I guess it would come down to the individual driver's gut feeling. I for sure know I don't like running on the hard tires unless it's for the strategy. I think it feels like you got rocks attached to your
Oh yeah,
car.
there's no grip, especially through a lot of these. You just don't have the confidence in the car to carry the speed or the pace. You'll find yourself taking a lower gear through different corners than you normally would on a softer compound. So I completely agree with you. Personally, I don't like hard tires. Maybe these drivers though that are out there on the hard tires would like easy
Oh,
breeze.
that's a that is Ginger Horizon running right onto the grass there under safety car.
I
Uh,
think we're having internet issues
uh,
again with Ginger.
it it would appear, yes, the teleportation is back, folks. The secret Ginger Horizon teleportation device, which we've seen. Maybe that was why he was passed while getting kind of mounted by that Red Bull.
I mean, it could be. I think that the submarine mode on the Red Bull definitely need to talk to Christian Horner about, and then maybe speak with Zach Brown about the teleportation device here fitted to the McLaren. I don't know how Mercedes will feel about this. I mean, we know that they don't like the DOS system, but man, these interesting tactics, as Lewis would say.
Interesting
Interesting
tactics
tactics.
indeed. Curious to see what the FIA says about all of this. Safety car is in this lap, so Deluxe will just try to back up the pack here down this back straight. Let's see if he decides to take it to the hairpin and try to take off. I think that would be maybe the way to go here. Brackish staying right in the fight there with Dark Ghost kind of creeping up behind now in that Red Bull car. John, though, not out of this fight either, running on those yellow striped tires down in P5. Time for the restart now, though. Let's have a look at how Deluxe decides to do this one. Into the hairpin, going nice and slow through there. Now let's see when he tries to put the foot down. Ginger just having to peek by him. And that looks like they are back up to racing speed now. We are back underway here in Shanghai, folks. That is Ginger Horizon right on the tail of Deluxe Court, already off the start. Brackish getting a very poor restart there. Dark Ghost already creeping in to try and reel that Toro Rosso back. John trying to go around the outside there, though. It looks like he won't be able to make that one stick and might end up losing another position to the Renault of Double OT, but he stayed just in front.
I think John's going to make a move here going into turn 4 here. Just going to actually mind his own business. I thought he was a little bit closer than that.
Very much so, and that is the Williams of PPR Ollies going very slow through Sector 1 and falling all the way to the back of the pack. Perhaps you can see if there was an incident involved there. I couldn't really see anything. I've currently got my eyes on the leaders.
No, it looks like, I mean, maybe he got a little squirrely or something like that and just caught him off guard, especially with how close all these drivers are right now. But he definitely did slip back there. Looks like Nick, our fellow commentator, is under pressure here from Groggy Oregano as Groggy is taking a very interesting overtaking position here, and it's going to be a drag race here down the back straight between the Renault and the Mercedes.
On board with them now. Looks like they are indeed right next to each other. Nick trying to moving back and forth. Dark Ghost, though, getting past Brackish there up at the front of the pack. And that's the Ferrari of Brawny Man sliding in. Let's see what happens here. Brawny Man up the inside. Can he hold the move through the next left-hander? Looks like he'll have to just... Oh, and he is sliding off the track, and that's a Ferrari spun around, and he's taking the Mercedes with him. Groggy's into the gravel, the Ferrari's into the gravel, and that looks like the Williams of Ollie's also off the track. A 3-car collision there, folks, and it's a mess at the back of the field currently. Be a long way around the track for anyone with wing damage.
Absolutely. Looks like Night Shrimp is currently under pressure here from the Toro Rosso. Night Shrimp doing great. It looks like he earned about 9 positions from the start. We're only about 5 laps in, so hopefully he can hold off the Toro Rosso, who's looked like he's struggling a little bit for grip as Night Shrimp runs wide.
Very much so.
But that's the line I like to take right there. Just dive back in on the inside, hopefully get enough of an exit and can fend
Ooh,
off there.
McLaren running very wide on the exit there.
Mm.
Taking the racing line back, though. No fuss from either driver. Let's see how Fantas decides to set up the move on Night Shrimp. Night Shrimp running really wide again there.
Looks like behind them, your colleague and teammate here, Sprightly, is doing everything he can to get past his pink counterpart or the tracing point. Gonna break real late here.
Oh, come on, buddy. Let's see how he does into the hairpin. He's held that. Oh, good enough to run right into the back of Night Shrimp, but it looks, I think Rustable's gotten a much better exit through there, and we finally got DRS, folks. We are going to, the gloves are coming off down the rest of the field. Rustable's going to maintain that position through the final turn there. Let's see if Sprightly will go for a move through the right-hander. Rustable just covering him off there, making him think twice about the move. Sprightly taking a lot of inside curb. But Rustable's run a little wide there into the next turn. Let's see how they do into the downhill. Rustable right on the back of Night Shrimp now. Night Shrimp feeling the pressure from the two cars behind. Our front three cars now pulling out about a second gap between one another, but Brackish trying to claw his way back towards that Red Bull.
Looks like John has deployed the spear hook to the back of that Toro Rosso, just getting it to pull him along. That way he can hold on there, as well as PPR OOT and Honey Hustard, or Money Hustard, gosh. Trying to, get into this battle up here for the top five, all within about a second of each other, obviously. So we're going to have a DRS train going down this back straight.
Very much so. Let's see how we're looking at the front here. The closest gap I can make out is going to be John on the back here. More yellow flags in Sector 3. That's a Ferrari stopped on track, it would seem. King Kirk falling down the order.
Looks like he's back on track. I wonder if he just got bumped or something. Somebody trying to overtake on the outside or inside there. Not really sure. John really pushing, trying to stick to the back of Brackish here, but it looks like he's about to come under fire from PPR or from OOT here, hanging in.
Yeah, OOT right on the gearbox now. Ooh, might have been a bit of contact through there, but both drivers have kept it tidy. Were we running reduced damage again today?
I have no idea, if I'm being 100% honest. I do know though that we do have basically John and Brackish sticking up here on these mediums with two soft compound runners. Really an impressive job. If John can hold back OOT on the softer compound, it's really going to be a chore, but I think that it will pay off for him in the end, obviously.
Looks like our pack is kind of split into two sections. There is the kind of front runners there being let out by that Red Bull of Dark Ghost, and there's a kind of a bit of a gap with Fantas in the middle, and then behind Fantas is a very tight pack being led by that looks to be Night Shrimp. This big pack of midfield drivers now fighting for position just to get back into the points. Sprightly going to try to go up the inside of DeShadow there. Ooh, a bit of contact. A little wheel rubbing, though. Never really hurt anybody. He's going to get a very good exit through there in the Silver Arrow. And King Kirk's going to be leading them down the straight with Rustable on the back of Night Shrimp. Night Shrimp's going to go defensive. Rustable's going to take to the outside line. Let's see who is going to be later on the brakes. No stress there.
McLaren is absolutely out of ERS. No way to defend against that DRS. And I'm assuming, Rustable was heavily deployed as well.
Ooh, and that's a Toro Rosso all out of shape right on the penultimate corner there.
That's Brackish.
That is Brackish, and it looks to me as though he's kept his car in one piece. That's the McLaren now getting back around the front there. Night Shrimp getting around Rustable into turn one and through the uphill. Ooh, they touched, and that's the McLaren putting on his best. Oh, and they've touched again, and that's the Racing Point getting out of shape. Night Shrimp doing his best Tokyo Drift impression there.
Looks like Kirk was the biggest loser there, having to back out just to keep out of trouble there with everybody going sideways.
Oh, they all Constantined up, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Let's see the knock-on effect of that. King Kirk now way down the order of this pack, but let's see. Brackish, though, sticking right in front. He was doing so well earlier. Now he is just trying to claw his way back towards the top of the pack. Those soft runners will have to pit, though, in about 8 to 10 laps time.
Man, Night Strip is obviously doing a lot of defending today, trying to make every inch of the track count and then some.
This is turning into a bit
just
of
to
a
stay in front.
dogfight. These guys can't stay off one another. Again,
I
more
really-
contact through that turn there.
I really think that Rustable needs to obviously get away the best that he can, but it looks like that Night Strip has been able to save up some ERS. Sprightly is now there along with Shadow Wolf, and it looks like, who is that, Kirk? Yeah, Kirk pushing his way up there too. They are all so close. Oh, contact. We have a
Loads of contact. There's cars all over the track, and Codemasters is oh, jeez. That's a Ronin going underneath one of the Pink Panthers there. Lots of cars into the pits, and that looks like Sprightly off into the runoff there. Not sure. I have no clue what happened. The camera angle was locked onto the cockpit view through that entire sequence, but Sprightly is off the track. We've got Easy Breeze and Night Shrimp into the pits now. Night Shrimp getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding. Whoa, jeez.
Looked like Kirk did a few celebratory donuts for some reason in the sand trap there. Again, he is having a really, really tough race. Both front end damage here at this point after that last incident there in the final chicane, or hairpin.
Yeah, quite the mess, isn't it? Ginger Horizon, though, back up on Deluxe Cord now, reeling him in slowly but surely. That gap is down to 5/10 as they go down the back straight. And on top of that, Ginger's got that battery turned all the way up. He'll have the DRS here. Do you think he can catch up?
I mean, I never put anything past Ginger anymore. He's a very talented and skilled driver. I think he's actually probably either going to wait until next lap and he's just lining him up, trying to get him ready and stay in there as close as he can, or he's going to try to make it into the first turn here for sure. He's not somebody to take risk. He's very patient of a driver. I think he's going to put the move on when it's right for him. We're probably starting to see those soft compound tires fall off a little bit as John gets past Dark Ghost. As I say, the softs are starting to fall off a little bit. We're probably right around 30-40% life as those two battle it out behind this main
And
pack.
the Haas and the Red Bull rubbing wheels there through turn 3. John forcing his way past Dark Ghost now into the next hard braking zone. Let's see. Dark Ghost is going to have a look up the inside. He'll think better of it and just tuck in right behind the Haas driver. Really chippy in the midfield today. IB, what's your midfield survival guide for Shanghai?
Stay clean. I think the big thing is that a lot of these guys, when we get into these longer 100% races, nobody is used to it, right? Nobody understands, hey, you have the time to wait those extra 2 or 3 laps to make sure that you get the move done on that attempt. You don't have to get it done here and now. Everybody is so worried about let's get it done here and now because they're conditioned that way.
Speaking of here and now, side by side, wheel to wheel, guess who's alongside Deluxe Cord? Ginger Horizon. He's up into P1. Can he hold it through the hairpin? Bit of a lockup on the right rear. No problem. He's still going to hold this inside line into the next turn. Deluxe Cord tucking in right behind. Onto the pit straight. Let's see here. There you go. And King Kirk has left the session. That is going to be a retirement for the Ferrari in the pits. But more importantly, Ginger Horizon into P1.
Absolutely. Very unfortunate for King Kirk. Had a really, really hard race. And I can understand his frustration. But absolutely, Ginger and Deluxe, maybe we'll see a little bit of a dogfight here. If Deluxe Core can, keep his nerves and, find his rhythm again, I think we're going to see a little bit of a dogfight between these softs and hards until those softs finally just fall off the end.
Speaking of a dogfight, Dark Ghost now back on John. Just on those soft tires, he's got to be thinking that he's got to get past if he wants to make this two-stopper work, because right now he is kind of suffering at the hands of John in that dirty air. Rest of our top runners here, big field spread. Ooh, that's Red Bull running real wide on the exit there.
Yeah, it looks like the track is finally starting to settle in. Probably just trying to get some of these soft runners, probably just trying to get these tires to last as long as they can. Brawny Man sitting back there with.
Oh, that's a big spin for Dark Ghost. He's in the gravel.
Oh.
That's not race over for him quite yet, and that's going to be a reset to track. Bit of a
I mean,
faux.
it's definitely quicker than trying to spin those tires up and trying to get out of that gravel.
I was going to say a bit of a faux pas in our league, but this is exhibition. This is not for championship points, so I think we'll let this one slide. But that will probably be an early stop for him, I'd imagine. If he's spinning out on curbs, he might want to think about just going on to a overcut strategy here. Money Hustard trying to close the gap to John. But Night Shrimp back at the field here. Looks like he's catching up to Ollie's.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Night Shrimp pitted about 2 laps ago, got a little bit better tire setup now, no longer on those softs. He was sliding all over the place. Whoa!
Yeah. Wow.
Big dive, missed the brakes, and off into the gravel. Man, I don't know what to say about that. He's going to have to get back on track and focus on the rhythm. I think he is, he might be, one of those drivers like I was describing that just can't realize the magnitude of this race and is just conditioned as our league is to those shorter races that we typically tend to do. And it's very much so you have to get the pass done here and now versus this. You can play mind games, you can wait out. There's a lot more strategy for sure.
And it looks like he'll also get a 10-second time penalty, and that's going to be a VSC here. Let's see who's coming around the pits there. That is Ginger Horizon. He has opted to stay out for the remainder of this VSC. Sorry, that wasn't Ginger Horizon. That was Night Shrimp who was passing the pit straight. I'm sorry, folks. My eyesight's not what it quite used to be. Not the young man I once was. Dark Ghost, though, very unfortunate for him. He did pit before the VSC, so maybe not saving as much time as he had hoped. But those softs did give up for him on about lap 10, and that is a Red Bull into the pits now. That is Deluxe Cord going into the pits, as well as Money Hustard as well. Let's see what tire they decide to fit.
Yeah, I'm sure Deluxe Cord was kind of extremely thankful for that 12-lap-old softs. Looks like he went over to the mediums. Money Hustard, we don't have a readout from him yet to know what tire he is on, but he looks like he went to the mediums as well. Definitely a smart move from their strategist to go ahead and pit under the VSC, as that has ended. So they still haven't lost a lot of space, but maybe we'll see some team orders here from Alfa Romeo as his teammate is in front of Money Hustard.
Yeah, especially considering Money Hustard is on those brand new tires, it would do him well just to slip on by the teammate. Fantas into the pits, Rustable into the pits as well. Our top 5 runners now, top 3 runners on kind of similar-ish strategies with Deluxe Cord, kind of with his butt in the jackpot, as it were, on those fresh new mediums.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by Brackish. I mean, just minutes ago we were about him being much farther down the field with Night Shrimp, and he ended up pulling it back up here. He is still pretty far behind and on 12-lap older tires, so after the pit stop shuffle, he's still going to have some work to do on track, but he definitely got himself back into the fight a little bit.
Closest on-track battle is those Alfa Romeos and Ollie's now. Looks like he's on the back of Rustable there. I'm going to take a look at our chat. Let's see what we've got going on in the YouTube world. Time for a great race. Don't worry, boys. Brawny Man will use launch control at the start. Kirk would like us to give him a shout out on the broadcast for his performance. That's a purple sector there from Deluxe Cord, who's got those yellow tires nice and turned on here.
Absolutely. So, it looks like the track is kind of settled in here. The battle we have here between the two Alfa Romeos. How about some news? Have you heard anything interesting coming from Australia lately in F1 news?
From down under, not quite. I know Daniel Ricciardo did do a live stream for all the fans out there with his press officer. So that was lots of fun. He's been living out on his farm, but besides that, I really couldn't tell you. What do you got for me,
So
IB?
there's rumor that Australia will be building a brand new Grand Prix facility.
Really? And where is this facility going to be located?
I believe it's in the western part of Australia. I believe it's about $165 million track complex that they're looking at, or $1 billion. I can't remember. I read the article earlier today. Very Tilka track, though, if I'm honest with you. There's hints of Hockenheim in it, and you can kind of tell the rest of it is just very flowy, like a Tilka track. So maybe we'll see a second Australia Grand Prix or a different home for it. I don't know about you personally. I absolutely love and adore Albert Park. It's not really a great track, I would say, to race on, but it's been the start of a Formula One season basically my entire life, and it just kind of feels like something that I would hate to see go away.
And Deluxe Cord with the new fastest lap there, 136.2. He is flying now. But no, that is an interesting point. I've only just become a fan of the sport recently, so I only know Australia to be that starting point for the season. I don't know if a purpose. I know for sure a purpose-built facility does kind of solve the logistical nightmare that is getting a street circuit like that set up every single year. They've even said now with the cancellation of the race, or postponement rather, the day before, or was it it was a cancellation.
Cancellation, yeah.
So I think when they say the word cancel, that does legally trigger a lot of different clauses in a lot of different contracts for vendors, for staff, a lot of temporary staff they have, construction workers, and obviously with the pandemic going on, it's hard to say what the financial situation will be moving forward. But it sounds to me like there for sure will not be a Melbourne race this year, and I'm sure they'd like to stay on the calendar for next year, but if they have a purpose-built facility, I think that means they can still pay the same fee to Liberty that Albert Park does, maybe, but for less money because they don't have to pay all that money to have it set up. Sorry about rambling there. I was just trying to piece all my thoughts together.
Not a problem. It does look like ARL pushing, and up here on Deluxe Cord, as Deluxe Cord did get past him on those fresher tires. Deluxe Cord on a little bit of a strong push here, trying to close that gap back up to the leaders, so he didn't lose too much time.
Yeah, he's certainly pushing. That's another purple sector for him. He's got that car nice and turned up at the moment. You have any more news for us, IB?
Oh, absolutely. Looks like that Roman Grosjean and Vettel were texting at 3 a.m. through WhatsApp.
was Grosjean hitting him with the U up, trying to come over and do some spinning? I'm kidding.
No spin classes today. Basically, it looks like that the Ferrari team released Vettel a little bit early before the actual official FIA announcement that the Australian Grand Prix was canceled. And Vettel was messaging him from the airport being like, hey, I'm leaving. And Grosjean's like, but nothing's official. And he's like, well, my team told me I could go, so I'm out of here.
I'm curious, if the race had gone ahead and Vettel was already on his way back to Switzerland, who would have been filled in that Ferrari seat next to Charles? Would they have pulled Giovinazzi up last minute, or do they have who is the Ferrari reserve driver? I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head.
I can't tell you off the top of my head either. I do know, though, that I think more than likely what would happen is that they would pull, if there is no reserve driver who they felt comfortable with, they could have maybe pulled Kimi, seeing that Kimi is probably the most knowledgeable of that particular car. And then, Kubica as a reserve driver for Alpha could have stepped in for him.
That would have been quite the reunion tour there if Kimi or Giga Kubica got in the red car.
I think that would be Kubica's only opportunity here recently, within the last several years, to be in the Ferrari. Unfortunately, after his crash, he things were just never the same.
Yeah, that was one thing I kind of learned since I was new to the sport, is that he really was kind of like the beast from the Eastern Bloc back in the day. He was kind of the guy that Vettel and Hamilton both said, like, if there's one guy who's up and coming who we're afraid of, it's probably him.
Yeah, absolutely. He was like a young Charles that, like we saw in his Sauber Alfa Romeo year that he spent with the team. Very aggressive, making all the right moves in a lower team. But obviously things just didn't pan out for him, and it's really unfortunate part of his career. But it's part of F1, right? I mean, you either make it or you don't. There's a reason that the Netflix series is named how it is. It's a dog eat dog world in F1, and it's just something to watch.
Very much so. I'll run us through our order here one more time. Ginger Horizon is leading the pack, followed by John John in P2. Behind them is Deluxe Court in P3. Bringing out the rest of the top 10 positions here will be Brackish, Money Hustard, Double OT, Ronin, DeShadow, Dark Ghost, Fantis. And then behind them in the non-points positions are Easy Breeze, Groggy Oregano, Rustable, Ollies, Brawny Man, Sprightly, Night Shrimp, and bringing up the rear is PPR. Nick, looks like we got a bit of a procession going at the moment looking at the track map. Man, this really is a tough track to follow, all those fast-flowing sections.
Absolutely. These drivers are extremely spaced out here. We got Ginger Horizon catching up on his teammate here. He's going to be yelling to the pit crew, being like, hey, let's get a blue flag, as PPR Nick is already a lap down, unfortunately. So, I mean, this track is just, it's very long. It's very, flowy, but it's going to be challenging, obviously, for anybody to make up time unless we see a safety car. I never wish a safety car on anybody, but it would be great for the racing action to get it back together.
I was going to say, I don't know how much of a team boss I could be, but maybe I can do some Flavio Briatore-esque shenanigans, pick up the bat phone here, and see if I can get one of these guys to spin into a wall, maybe in a runoff area.
Can you just say your brakes failed there at the end of the hairpin straight?
He's back in the news recently. He's always got some comments to say. He's been all over Formula World lately. He is kind of like how Jimmy Johnson. Well, not Jimmy Johnson really. I'm trying to think. Maybe more like Barry Switzer, someone who's kind of out of the sport but kind of chimes in every once in a while to give their 2 cents. I don't know how well your American football is. I probably should have prefaced that.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't really watch any sports unless it's Formula.
even being from Oklahoma, really, I'm surprised. I figured everyone there was bled sooner.
Yeah, everybody is either a Cowboy fan, but I'll be 100% honest with you. Best, I'm actually originally from Delaware.
Delaware. Oh, well then you got
absolutely nothing there.
I was gonna say you've got the University of Delaware, the home sake of Joe Flacco. Little fun fact for those of you at home who are big NFL fans. But besides him, it's not really a good state for sports. Groggy into the pits now. He'll be getting off those soft tires, probably looking to do the one stop here. Let's see what he goes on to. He'll be going on to the medium striped tires. They'll promote Rustable up to P12 and Ollie's up to P13.
Yeah, I still think we're a little too early to see a one stop actually effective. It's going to be real interesting. Ginger is about 18. Along with John John, I'm amazed that John John is able to make these games last as long as the hards. I would think that John John is going to cave first and have to pit, but I don't know how long those hards can last here at all.
Speaking of, we've already got our first blue flags of the race. Ginger was getting waved past Nick there, so expect to see maybe some back markers getting in the mix as some of the leaders try to close up their gaps. Ginger, on those white stripe tires, he's looking to go till about, what do you think, lap 35, lap 40?
Yeah, I would assume that he was going to try to go to about 35, 40. I think that John John is probably maybe got 5 or 6 more laps left in those tires, maybe. But it's still going to be extremely interesting to see if he can hang on in there. Closest battle on field right now looks like it's maybe Double OT, pushing on Money Hustard here, almost inside that 1 second mark.
Yeah, crucially, that's kind of one of the bummers about this track is the detection zone for that back straight. If you don't get a good exit out of the left-hander, You can, if you're just maybe 2/10 slower out of the exit, you'll miss on that very crucial extra DRS down that back straight, which really is a game changer because that is what helps you kind of close up before getting into sector one again.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish they would move that detection zone maybe a little bit farther back, or a little bit farther ahead there. Um, but there's just there is no way that he's going to get it on that run. But I mean, in his grace, it looks like that, the grace that he has that Money Hustler doesn't have, the time on Brackish either. So I mean, neither one of them really missing out there on the DRS. It's just, you know Double OT trying to get in that groove to be able to go ahead and pull up on Money Hustler.
Speaking of battles, though, it looks like we got Dark Ghost now making his way back through the field after the spin earlier. He's now pulled crucially within a second of DeShadow. Both cars on similar strategies here, so Dark Ghost will want to push the envelope now. Going into Sector 1, let's ride on board with him. He's on the back side of the Haas car here into Turn 1. DeShadow's going to kind of take a bit of a tight line there. Now the Red Bull just going to stay tucked right behind him, only a couple of meters from that gearbox into the next left-hander. DeShadow just parking on the apex long enough to throw off Dark Ghost's acceleration. Now let's see the long run down to the next big braking zone. DeShadow not opting to go defensive quite yet, hoping to keep him in his dirty air. That's a McLaren going slow on track.
Looks like it was a little bit of team orders there to go ahead and get Ginger Horizon by. He's also trying to stay out of the way. We have a pretty good battle going on here between Brawny Man and Ollie's. They were switching back and forth down the straight and into the final corner as Ollie's is getting the back end to slide out just a little bit. Brawny is going to be begging to get by at this point, especially with that much softer compound, but he really just doesn't have a lot of battery. He needs to save more battery. Ollie's is always going to have the advantage if he can't get more battery under his belt.
Brawny rocking that Ayrton Senna helmet. Maybe we'll see some similar tactics out of him. Ooh, that's a McLaren stopped on track. That is Night Shrimp going very slowly there. His car's intact, but it looks like he's all out of sorts today.
Yeah, I think that he just hasn't really found his groove. With setup was a little bit more tuned to the wet, or maybe he just underestimated how much downforce he still needed on this track.
Dark Ghost and DeShadow now to tight battle. Dark Ghost got past the hairpin. DeShadow trying to have a look up the inside there, not really going for him. Dark Ghost placing that Red Bull perfectly in the middle of the track now. Curious to see if maybe DeShadow can close up here. Dark Ghost running a little wide on the exit there. Pulling out a bit of a lead, only about 4/10. Let's see into the next braking zone. Red Bull going a little bit defensive. Kind of feels that Haas on the back of his car. And now into the long left-hander. That's Brawny Man past Ollie's, by the way.
Yeah, I've been on board with Brawny Man. They've been bumping back, and it looks like Brawny Man gave him space back ultimately. Maybe he felt that, he was a little too aggressive there with Ollie's, but they've been fighting. Brawny got really late on the brakes there into the final hairpin and was right alongside him on the exit, and then followed through the final corner as well, side by side, pushing Brawny Man a little bit wide, and they kind of interlocked wheels there for a minute. But I think that we're really going to see Brawny Man go back under attack. He really needs to save that battery, though. I mean, he's all the way up in ERS 4 in this midsection when he really should be saving as much as he possibly can and deplete that down that back straight.
John and Brackish into the pits, by the way. And yes, with all of PPR, Ollie's, and Brawny Man's fighting, they've invited Easy Breeze to the party, rocking that number 69 Pink Panther.
Yeah, it's going to get real dicey. It looks like here in the lower, positions. But always good, right? To have a little bit of on-track action. Doesn't really matter where it is. I know personally when I'm fighting with these guys, it doesn't matter whether I'm fighting all the way back down here in 17th or, blocking up there in a 5-lapper for the win. But it feels, like I would earn to every position. And that's a great thing about this, PPR in general. We always have such high talented drivers that it always feels like you're challenging for something. And when you do get it, it's nothing but a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, yes, certainly, certainly, and it is great too. There is I do feel that there is a good amount of parity um, amongst the drivers. A couple guys will kind of be in the mix for podiums, but the midfield always is a toss up in just about every division. I've yet to see kind of like the same result happen more than once.
Bronny Man got spun around by Easy Breeze. Bronny was on the inside there on the first corner, losing out quite a bit there.
Yeah, Bronny
As
Man
Easy
now.
Breeze is now looking at
Yeah, Bronny Man back to P15 there, and Rustable into the pits now. And that is a Williams and a Racing Point running very close there. Easy Breeze and Ollie's. Was that Easy Breeze who knocked Bronny Man off the track?
Yeah, he had just came down a little bit too. It looked like on Bronny from what I could see, and it caused Bronny to go around, just bumping the Ferrari's front end. But it does look like also Double OT is up here trying to work on John on much older tires, as now John is fighting to get past Money Hustard on 10-lap younger tires. It should be extremely easy for him to get back into those top 3 positions.
We've got Easy Breeze on Ollie's right now. Easy Breeze going right up the inside. That's going to be a no-stress overtake. He will have to just... Ollie's will just have to let that one go. Easy Breeze really needs to get past this guy. He's on much fresher tires. Staying behind
For
that
sure.
Williams would be a death sentence.
Yeah, Ollie's did everything he could there. He went back and undercut the Force India and then tried to go for the overcut there on the final corner. Couldn't make it stick. Obviously, tires don't have half as much grip as the Force Indias.
Money Hustard now going very defensive. Are you following this battle?
Yeah, obviously, I'm on board with him. It looks like John went around the side. Money Hustard trying to slip behind, can't gain enough momentum to get back on to John. But I feel like, with 10-lap older tires than John's just going to pull away.
Very much so. John going to stay right in front there. Still has about a 10. Oh, that's the fastest lap for him. 1:36 flat is now the time to beat for our field of drivers.
I haven't been paying attention to pit stop windows here, but I'm getting the feeling that Ginger is very close to being able to pit and come back out in first here. 24 outlap boards.
The classic Lewis Hamilton free pit stop halfway through the race, yes.
I mean, he's definitely got a free one if the safety car comes out for any reason, with so many drivers bottling back up and running pretty close here. Looks like we got Groggy Oregano in the Mercedes getting ready to get past the Williams here probably right now.
Tough race for Ollie's today. Ollie's back in front, though.
Yeah, it looked like Groggy Oregano ran a little wide there into the final hairpin and just couldn't keep the car on the track, giving Ollie's the position.
Such an easy mistake to make there, too. Coming in, flying in at 8th gear, top speed. If you pick your points maybe a hair late, it could be the difference between making the corner and finding yourself in someone's egg roll stand.
Absolutely. It looks like Bronny Man is PC, your teammate here, trying to chase down Sprightly. Already in DRS. Hopefully he can hold on to that to the back
DNF
straight.
from Nick, it would seem. That looks to be a car stopped or going slow on track. I can't rightfully see.
Going extremely slow on track. I'm not sure exactly what happened. No safety car or virtual safety car yet at this point, as he pulled off right there at the end of the pit straight.
Yeah, that looks like that'll be end of race for him, as he did disconnect and retire. Luckily retired to the side of the track, will not have his ghost running out and about, interfering with the on-track proceedings.
I'm sure Deluxe Corp would absolutely love that, though, to come out in a safety car for him.
Oh, yeah. Certainly. A Dark Ghost back in the action here now, closing up on Ronan. Only about a 6/10 gap. And then Groggy Oregano past Ollie's again. Down into the hairpin. Has he held it? Yes, he has, it would seem, from what I can see on the track map. They're side by side again, though, aren't they?
They just can't give it up. Looks like Brownie did get past Sprightly. Um, Night Shrimp, I'm not sure what he's doing. It looks like, oh no, that was the leader going in between Sprightly and Brawny there, probably making Sprightly hold up a little bit. Not sure if Brawny is going to recognize the blue flags here. Oh, it looks like he did.
Perhaps not, but Ollie's and Groggy really going at it, doing the old Rick Astley, you know. What is it?
Absolutely.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. I mean, this has been about like 5 laps of these two, just trading positions, and Ollie's is just shredding those tires to the core too, which is so unfortunate.
Absolutely. It looks like the only person on older tires than him is Rowan and Shadow up there with 24 laps each on their tires. Hopefully these two are staying aware of other vehicles on the track, though, because the leader obviously will be coming up on them, I'm sure, here in the next few laps. So hopefully they don't get in the way of that.
Oh, very much so. Do we have ghosted back markers for today?
I'm not 100% sure. It didn't look like it when I was on Sprightly and Brawny.
Dark Ghost really trying to push his way through, but Ronan's going to tell him to get back on the track. He took almost all 4 wheels to the grass there.
Looks like Brackish is trying to take advantage of getting in the mix as well.
No kidding. Who's going to be on much fresher tires than both of the cars. Let's see if he can't make this move work into the left-hander. He's going to take a bit of a wider line there with that dirty air coming off the cars in front. Same thing through the right-hander next. Let's see how they all form up for the double left. Everyone's staying nice and single file. Very good. On the exit. Ooh, a little bit wide there. No problem. Brackish has got it under control. Let's see where Dark Ghost breaks. Nice and late there. Into the swirly bit. Always crucial to use all that camber to your advantage. Get a nice good run. He's going to take the inside line there. Ronan's going to take the outside line. Both cars now tucked in behind one another. We'll ride on board with Brackish, who's got a great view of the action. Both cars going back and forth. Dark Ghost trying to sell him the dummy. It's not going to work. Ronan's going to stick to that inside line. Let's see who decides to brake later. Ooh, everyone's going to be late on the brakes there. And Dark Ghost has gotten the move done. He's going to stick right back in front of Ronan. Ronan's got the inside line, though, into the next turn. Let's see if Brackish is trying to go up the inside of Dark Ghost. Nothing really going there. Dark Ghost coming back at Ronan. Ronan, one of these cars should have... Yeah, there we go. I was going to say Dark Ghost should have the DRS. Now into the right-hander. Who's going to brake later? Dark Ghost finally getting past the Alfa Romeo there after a very, very tight battle. And then that's going to be the Toro Rosso of Brackish trying to go up the inside of the Alfa, but it won't do. They'll have to settle back in for the next twisty bit. But what an excellent move by Dark Ghost to kind of claw his way through that little triplet.
Absolutely. It looks like Rowan is going to have his way back, trying to go around the outside, maybe cut in a little bit earlier, get a better grip. No, it looks like Brackish is going to go ahead.
Are we going
and say,
3 wide into the left-hander? Wow.
Oh my God.
This is scintillating. Oh, no, we got a car off. Ronan, he's gone. Ronan is out of that battle. Oh, that's Brackish sliding into the gravel. Wow. You had to think that all that pressure there was going to cause someone to collapse, and it looks like Brackish has completely lost it. Same with Ronan. Dark Ghost coming out on top of that massive scrap there. But everyone's kept the cars in one piece, and they'll be able to continue throughout the race.
Absolutely. I was kind of hoping that Brackish would go ahead and keep his nose clean, but he saw the window, and as a driver, you know how that is. You see a window, you got to take it. And I think that's what he kind of felt here as we are, past the halfway point here. This is really when drivers want to start getting those kind of moves done.
Speaking of, that was looks like Night Shrimp stopped in the entrance to the pit lane. This might be a retirement from the race for him. Let's see if he pulls into his pit box and calls it a day. But it looks like he's decided to fit service penalty and then fit the hard compounded tires before heading back out.
Yeah, his tires were about 19 laps old, so he was about right there. When are we going to see Ronan and Dark Shadow, or DA Shadow Wolf, go ahead and pit? They're on 27 lap old mediums. 27 laps.
Well, I guess they really must like ice skating, because that's what they're going to be doing soon if they keep pushing their luck. Ginger, though, up to lap 30 here, just about on those hard tires. he doesn't really have to react to anyone either. He's got such a gap to Deluxe Cord there.
Oh yeah, I mean we got a couple drivers here with a free pit stop. Double OT, has a free pit stop back to Dark right now, who's again under pressure by Shadow Wolf. Dark just can't get away from any entertainment here today or being under pressure in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, DeShadow now on Lord Dark Ghost. I guess we have another scrap brewing on the track. Seems to me Dark Ghost has really begun to develop that reputation as the Kevin Magnussen type of the field. He really likes to get his elbows out. Doesn't like to really, take anything from anyone. I've firsthand experience actually in D3 with him. He's a very, very aggressive driver who does not like to concede.
Oh, he did pick up a 3-second penalty there on that corner. I know we haven't been talking about penalties. As this is an expedition race, we're really here for on-track action, but it does look like that Shadow is going to have to tuck back.
Oh, and that's very late. Great defensive move from the Red Bull. Oh, and he's tapped. They've tapped. And oh, man. Dark Ghost claims another life today as Shadow's going to go flying off the track there. But Fantas and Ronan, though, unbeknownst to me, I didn't even notice these guys were getting into a bit of a scrap here.
I think we're starting to get to the midfield that just keeps on giving at this point.
Certainly, and that is a car going slow in Sector 1. That looks like Brackish going very slow. Got the car back underway. But now Ronan and Fantas back in the mix here. Ronan, though, he came off badly earlier against Dark Ghost. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. Him and Brackish both came off pretty bad. So maybe Dark Ghost wants a little bit of to get away here. But I think Ronan's going to want some revenge.
No, Ronan definitely wants his revenge, especially on 10-lap older tires pulling up right to the back of that Red Bull. He's got the car dialed in today, doesn't he? Dark Ghost is going to try and stick to the middle of the track here, see which way the Alpha decides to go. Will Ronan just sell him the dummy? Doesn't have to. He'll just take the inside line. Getting right back in front of the Red Bull. The Red Bull trying to swap back to the inside. That's a very aggressive move under braking, but nothing really going there. Dark Ghost will have to let that one go and maybe think about a pit stop in about 5 or 6 laps time.
5 or 6 laps? I would have said he needed to pit 2 laps ago.
But he's coming back at Ronan now. Ronan trying to go defensive here. Dark Ghost going right back by him. Very curious driving indeed. And that's a Mercedes stopped in Sector 3. That looks to be Sprightly having a little car trouble.
Very unfortunate for your teammate today. He's had a really hard one.
Oh,
wow.
That was a car right. It looks like he just disconnected there. A Fantas just looks like reminded me of the Marcus Ericsson crash at Monza, where the car just kind of turned on its own.
I experienced that the other day, but that's because I went back and forth from, as we had spoke earlier, from the controller to the wheel, and the wheel decided just to turn for me, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, very curious. The wheels and the controllers kind of supposed to be working in harmony. Doesn't always do the tricks sometimes, as there's two inputs for video games. It's not really something they're big on, especially if it's only one player. Ronan back on the back of Dark Ghost, getting a good run there through Sector 3. He's going to have the DRS here. He's really closing up now. Dark Ghost sticking to the middle of the track. He'll probably go to the inside line. Doesn't have to. The Alpha's going to go to the inside line. I think Dark Ghost is going to be looking for the cutback there. Looks like they're side by side now, heading into the left-hander. Let's see where that Alpha is going to place his car right on the racing line. Dark Ghost is going to have to think about a move into turn 1. Let's see. Getting a much better run through there. Ooh, he's going to sell him the dummy. What a beautiful move by Dark Ghost up the inside. Very reminiscent of Daniel Ricciardo in a Red Bull car, certainly.
Hopefully he doesn't have the same issues that Daniel had at Baku a couple years back, and he can continue to hold on to the car while trying to sell these dummies.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. His teammate Deluxe Cord, of course, running in P2 right now. 19 lap old mediums. He'll likely have to pit again. John 9 lap old mediums. Ronan now on 30 lap old mediums, but he is still looking very fast despite how old those tires are.
Absolutely. It's just amazing to me how long some of these people are holding out here on these medium compound tires.
Oh, and there's really late into the braking zone. He's going to tap the Red Bull. I think he's going to just let Dark Ghost take that position back. Good sportsmanship between the two drivers there. And maybe if you're Ronan getting your braking wrong there, perhaps start thinking about a pit stop.
I mean, he's going to have to at this point. He is missing 8 now on the wing. So that with 30 lap old mediums, ugh.
Yeah, certainly a pit stop would not do him any wrong at this stage in the game. Do you think he can stretch the softs though for not even 17 laps? That'd be 23 laps. He'll probably have to go mediums again, won't he?
Yeah, he would have to go mediums again as he stays out. But now choice. I'm back here looking at this Toro Rosso pack, fighting a little bit closer, trying to get the job done on Brackish here is Fanta.
Yeah, Fantas and Brackish. Fantas taking a lot of that inside curb. Fantas on the older strat here. Brackish might not want to let him through, especially considering Fantas probably does have to pit again. I don't expect to see any friendly teammates waving each other by at this stage.
No, definitely not. Not in this late in the race. Looks like Bronny is back up here with Ollie's, trying to get that position again. We saw how that turned out last time. Hopefully, Bronny going around, but he is closing in on him.
Here. And that's Brackish just going into the back of the Alpha there, and he's in the grass now. Very unfortunate for the Toro Rosso driver, getting all kinds of unstuck.
Big hit from the McLaren on the side.
Ooh, what have we got? Brackish, a drive-through penalty. Wow. What happened there?
It looks like that Night Shrimp just came around the corner and T-boned Brackish. I'm not 100% sure. I think that it was Night Shrimp.
Looks like that that back marker traffic I was hinting at earlier has finally come to fruition. Double OT into the pits. He's going to be going on to the, let's see, yellow striped tires there. What happened at the back of the pack there? Did you catch any of that? It was just a back mark. Somebody came around the corner, didn't see the stopped car.
Yeah, so I mean, Brackish, you know, he was kind of sideways there trying to get back on track, and it looks like Night Shrimp just came around and straight T-boned him. He really had nowhere to go, but it's really unfortunate. We saw Brackish's car go up in the air. The hit was that hard.
Oh, wow. Well, glad everyone is okay. This is a video game, obviously, but you never like to see people colliding like that in any situation. Bronny Man here kind of falling back from Ollie's. Brackish into the pits. Night Shrimp's going to be getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Nothing really going his way today, huh?
No, unfortunately, that McLaren driver, same luck as his colleague sitting at the top of the field. Night Shrimp just really having a tough race today, much like King Kirk did, much like several other drivers here. Brackish, he's putting on a good show. He keeps making his way back up to the top, but it's just not working out for him.
Yeah, certainly a tale of two drivers. Ooh, and that is Bronny Man's Ferrari trying to get all unstuck at the back there. A little too much wheel spin on those rears, but Fantas back in the mix with Ronan. Ronan taking the inside line there down the back straight, going a little defensive to the left, but Fantas will go right through. Let's see, braking pretty much right where he should be, and that's the Alpha trying to go right back up the inside. I guess he shouldn't have left the door open in that sense, because now Fantas is going to have to get back around him through the next straight.
I'm sure some of our drivers wish that our stewards would, jump in here and put in a couple of their 2 cents with some of this. But, again, this is an expedition. This is just for fun.
Very much so, very much so. Dark Ghost into the pits now. Looks like he's fits the medium compound of tires there. And he will come out in about P11 there, just P10. Field's really stretched out at this point.
Absolutely. It's a 17-second from Ronin to double OT. It's 19 seconds from double OT to deluxe cord, and then another 9 seconds to third place. And then, a whole 20 to Ginger Horizon. The gap is just massive at this point.
It looks like
Um,
John wants the smoke, though. Just set a fastest lap of the race.
on 13 lap old mediums, I mean, if he's got the pace, he is going to have to stay in that 20-second mark if he thinks that he can go to the end on these mediums.
Money Hustard
Um,
into the pits as well.
I'm really surprised that we haven't seen Ronan into the pits yet. If Ronan is going 33 laps on these and we got Ginger Horizon 35 lap hards, could we see Ronan, stay out longer than Ginger at this point?
It's entirely possible. If Ginger's going to go that long, he might just go to the softs at a certain stage. He might just have the tire life in him to go those 15, 16 laps. Double OT retiring from the session. Wow.
Ronan going into the pits.
Ronan into the pits. There you have it. That is 33 lap old mediums. Wow. Double OT has left the session. Not sure what happened there. He was running really well.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. He was in fourth place. Oh, it looks like Ronan is getting stopped by the retiring.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. Wow. I've never seen that glitch before. Have you?
No, I have not. That's a heartbreaker right there, as he has to serve a time penalty on top of it. Oh my lord.
Oh, very unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo there. And that will shake things up now. We're down to 16 runners. Folks, I'll run you through it one more time. We got Ginger Horizon, John, and Deluxe Cord. Those are your top three. Rounding out the rest of the points positions are Money Hustard, Fantas, Easy Breeze, DeShadow, Dark Ghost, Groggy Oregano, and Ollies. Bringing up the rest of the pack is in P11 Rustable, P12 Ronin, P13 Brackish, P14 Sprightly, and then bringing up the back of the pack is the Brawny Man. Though he looks like he's just got back Sprightly there through the top section of the track here.
Looks like Sprightly actually ended up taking it back from Brawny Man. It's really a battle down here at the bottom part of the track. Looks like Brackish is also trying to catch.
Oh, Dark Ghost. Dark Ghost has crashed. Looks like he's gone off over down the DRS straight. I wonder what happened there. It's going to bring out a VSC. Wow. Was that maybe a little... I don't want to get all conspiracy theory. John's out of the race. What's happening?
What in the world?
That's... Okay, so I don't want to sound... this is all for fun. But... if you're Deluxe Core, don't you kind of benefit from a bit of a VSC there to get you back in the mix with the, the leader?
I mean, absolutely. It looks like Ginger took advantage, pitted, so it's going to bring Deluxe Core much, much closer to him.
I may have misspoken. It says here Deluxe Core's 48 seconds back.
Oh, my lord.
Yeah, I've definitely misspoken. But crazy, all these cars just retired right at the same time. I'm not sure really what caused all the commotion. Just Shadow almost coming to a stop on track there. I was wondering what that was about. But we're back underway. We have green flags. That's Rustable all over the place, just trying to let Ginger through. The gap to Deluxe Cord's gap to the leader is going to be 26 seconds. He has a singular pit stop. And they are both on the same tire, so it would require Deluxe Cord to pretty much lap about 1 second faster per lap. Let's see, 38 laps to go here. He's got a 20-second gap to close. It's going to be close. It's going to be real close. And he is on older tires, but we will see.
I mean, my problem is if Ginger was already that fast on a compound, how fast is he going to be on a medium?
Yeah, that's a good point. They've both been fast all day. It looks like that gap staying steady at about 22.1, 22 flat. So unless Ginger has to pit for a new front wing or, God forbid he gets a puncture, I think that's pretty much going to be the gap we'll see for the rest of this race.
Absolutely. Looks like Kirk is here in the press room letting us know that he had a really awesome 3 or 4 car overtake on the back straight and then ended up throwing it all away, crashing out, obviously, much earlier on in the race, but made sure he wanted to let us all know about that. So thank you so much for informing us, Kirk.
We'll take it to the highlight reel after. Maybe we'll get some highlights spun up for him. Throw him out on the old social networks here later in the week. A lot of great midfield action today. IB, why don't we go ahead and take a look, since the gaps do seem to be pretty steady at the moment. Let's have a look at the paddock pass for this week. What did our drivers have to say?
Absolutely. Let's do some digging here. So first off, obviously we are doing these 100% races while we are a little bit on down, and we have a little bit of feedback from quite a few drivers here in the field. One thing that we are going to strongly consider is actually putting up a fan vote. It looks like that's what the majority of our drivers want to see, is they want you guys to go ahead and submit some feedback either in the comments section, so we can check it later in the week when we're setting up next week's 100% race. And see what tracks you guys would like to see. What tracks do you think are going to cause some good racing for our drivers, and make things a little bit more interesting and spicy for you? Obviously, with this all on lockdown, we're doing this for fun. We're doing this to keep you all entertained as much as ourselves, because we're all going crazy, right, Best?
We're hanging in there. I'm very fortunate that I've got lots of snacks, and I got some Netflix shows to catch up on, so the quarantine hasn't been all bad. But definitely, yes, to your point, IB, if you're following along with our streams, even keeping up with PPR, we really appreciate it. These are very irregular times for all of us, but we're glad we can provide a bit of a respite from it all. Do let us know in the comments. Let us know on our socials. We've got Instagram, we've got Twitter. You can find links to those in the bio. Tweet at us, message us. If you want to see, Spa next week, that's the best way to reach us. Let us know what you're feeling. If you haven't already and you're interested in racing with us, the link to the Discord is always below as well. We host races Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I believe, off the top of my head. So do come check us out. Do let us know down below what you want to see. IB, if we're speaking hypothetically here, what track would you like to see next week?
So I have several favorites. Unfortunately, we just did one of my favorites in the league race this week with Austria. I call it the A1 ring still because I'm a classic and I'm an enthusiast, and I can't quite bring myself to say Red Bull owns this. I absolutely love Coda. Probably one of the few only newer tracks that I love. Been there twice. Absolutely amazing and always very dynamic. I love how we have so much elevation change at that track. And continuing on with my elevation theme, who doesn't love Spa? I mean, in all honesty, who doesn't love Auvergne de Radion? I mean, that complex is just absolutely amazing. Whether you're watching it on TV, watching it on esports, it's just an amazing complex and always very tricky. If I recall, a couple of us got caught up on Radion this week during our 5-lappers, but it was still a great time and an amazing track. Always challenging, always very different gradient, and fantastic tracks. I would love any of those three personally. What about you?
Well, you got me there with Spa. I do love driving that. Sometimes I'll just turn on Assetto Corsa and I'll just do laps by myself in the Lotus F1 car, just so I can get the really feel that that kind of drive on the ceiling type grip in a simulation environment going up Eau Rouge. It is honestly just a simulator, but it does feel you do feel that excitement. So that's definitely one for me. I'm a Silverstone fan as well. That's a track I've probably clocked the most time at in the game. It's just such a fun, flowy track. You're taking it, full throttle. There's a lot of great overtaking opportunities on it. Really hard not to love it. And then I guess besides those, I would love to if we could, just because I have no idea what a race there would look like. Ginger Horizon, by the way, with the new fastest lap of the race. So I don't think Deluxe Cord's going to be reeling him in anytime soon.
That answers that question about a speed on mediums.
Yeah, that does answer it exactly. But I wish there was some way for them to get Vietnam into the game, just because it looks like, and Zandvoort, one of those two, I'd love to see. Just such fascinating tracks, Zandvoort with that banked corner that Max has already come out and said you can take multiple lines through. And then Vietnam, it's a really fascinating layout with like kind of like the 3-pointed star, and there's like a curvy bit, and there's like hairpins at the end, and it looks like a really fascinating track. Lots of slipstreaming, it seems, those long straights.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're getting a little bit ahead of yourself, though. We're June. Let's hope we're not all down until then. But if we are, I'm sure those will be first tracks we'll end up doing 100% races on, as they are new, and it will catch all of our drivers off guard. For those of us that will already have the 2020 title for F1, as we are excited. Hopefully the game doesn't get delayed. That's something I haven't even thought about. There's a possible chance of delay a game just due to the fact that we haven't had any racing.
Yeah, certainly. And, it's kind of insult to injury. No one can really go into work right now, but everyone's got time to play video games. But it's a trade-off because the people who make the video games can't go into work. So it kind of begs the question: if you're the developers, do you wait? Maybe just wait, push it off a year, and then really go full beans on a 2021 title, or do you maybe want to try to crank something out at the end of this year when the cars are about the same as they were last year? Toro Rosso's got the AlphaTauri thing, and then Racing Point supposedly developed this amazing car. But
developed.
Yeah, right.
Quotations.
Copied. whatever your definition of that is. But it really begs the question: what is there you can really do to? I mean, the gameplay experience as a whole is kind of brackish with a 134 there. 134.2, flying on those soft tires, hoping to steal a point away from some of our leaders. Wow.
I mean, he's in the top 10. If we were fighting for points, that would give him the fastest lap point.
It would. It certainly would. But no, I mean, do you think it's even worth it to push out a game with such a short turnaround if this pandemic does improve within the next 90 days?
Cody's has been pretty good about updating small things as the year progresses, right? I mean, first off, we didn't even see Alex Albon at Red Bull at the beginning of Cody's. It was Pierre for the 2019 game. So, I mean, they obviously update that. They obviously update the car models a little bit because you can look at the cars in the showroom area and tell that they do have those minute differences that they ended up ending the season with. So, I mean, the possibility is there for them to release the game still, mainly and primarily. Probably, I would assume there's some contracts tied up in it. I would also assume that they want the money. I mean, it's $60 a copy when it's new, right? So I mean, F1 wants the money, Cody's wants the money. I can't think off of the top of my head any other game that Codemasters makes. I'm sure you guys in the chat on YouTube are gonna blow me up for that and be like, hey, they make this, but that's fine. But they want the money. They're in the business to make money. So I think that the chance is very strong that we'll see a 2020 title.
I like that. No, that's a good way to think about it. I mean, obviously, we at the end of the day, everyone's trying to make a buck. Formula One is a business first and foremost. It's an entertainment product. But there is always that point of caution when a game developer rushes out a game that maybe, I don't know how you can really screw up the game engine on a racing game. It's kind of like you make minor adjustments year to year, I suppose, but it's not quite like you remember the Fallout controversy. Bethesda putting out kind of like a half-finished game. Battlefield 5 had a lot of issues on launch. Battlefield 4 had a lot of issues. Call of Duty's had a lot of issues. Anthem. Oh, that's become kind of like the buyer beware, developer beware them. No Man's Sky. It's become infamous now that if you end up like one of those titles, you really, it can be so damaging to a studio. Like DICE has completely had a falling out with their with a particularly loyal fan base.
Absolutely. Us talking about the 2020 game, one of the things we did ask in the Paddock Pass is what changes do you want to see in the 2020 F1 game? And a lot of these, like you said, they're not real involving. They're definitely things that they could add in. Would be challenging. Looks like we have some drivers that would like a little bit more realistic floor damage. Obviously, a lot of people want these safety cars fixed as they still aren't, up to par with, coming out as often. We even had a driver said that they would prefer more realism when exceeding the track limits. Uh, we do run with strict track limits here on PPR for all of our series. So, it does get a little dicey. And there are times that you can take a line and it will be completely fine. And then the very next lap, if you take that same line, you're going to get a penalty. So there are a little bit of inconsistencies there, and I can see that. Um, so, I think that, there's definitely some small things. I would like to see floor damage. Could you imagine where we would be right now if we had a little bit of floor damage from some of these cars today?
It would certainly make for interesting racing. Yeah, and that was actually a surprise to me when I first kind of got on these video games, was the fact that they have the front wing and you've got your tires that you don't want to like break off. But to me, there's a lot of loose bits on the side of the car that probably wouldn't stay attached either if I, had a side-by-side collision with someone. So obviously, yeah, for realism, I say, definitely let's make the game as as close as we can to reality without then taking it past being inaccessible. That's always kind of the balance you got to strike with a game like this. So
And I
I'd
mean,
love
and
to see
that's why they have the modes, right? They have the simulation damage mode, they have the realistic mode, or the reduced mode. So I think that those limitations would be good still as well. I know something personally I haven't seen since. I'm gonna constantly reference F1 2002, and I apologize, guys. It's probably the game that I've clocked the most hours on as far as F1 goes. But in F1 2002, I could break off the car's rear wing in front of me if I hit it too hard. We see all this front end damage from rear end in a car, but how much rear end damage are we seeing?
Apparently none, especially in this game. Minus the, there's the always looming rare, but it does loom rare thing where your rear wing will either not open or will stay open. I've actually had that happen seen that happen in league races where people get their rear wing won't open up for them. Kind of one of those little randomized things the game throws in. But IB, I've actually had an idea I think that would really spice up the career mode. Would you want to hear it?
Yeah, I love career mode. Tell me why.
So, traditionally in the career mode, you basically you pick your team after you do your F2 season, and you can either go to a top team or a midfield team or even like a back marker. But based on your driver academy, you have better options at every team. I had a thought about that the other day, because the big complaint people have is like, okay, obviously, like in the game, you can turn around a Williams team in a season to make them like a podium placing car, which maybe isn't very realistic. So I had a way, I think, to finally find some balance in the way your career mode plays out. What if you sign with a customer team and you're trying to develop your car? There's certain upgrades you can't get unless the parent team gets them. So say like if you're on a Racing Point or a Williams, there might be certain things you can't change, like maybe about the engine. But what if then Mercedes in that career mode gets those upgrades? They'd be gifted to you since you're getting the same parts, since they're your supplier, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that would add another.
Sorry, IB, I think you cut out there, buddy.
Oh, I apologize. No, I was saying absolutely. I think that would be great because you're going to get another layer of realism into the title. May want to switch over and pause our conversation for a second. Looks like Easy Breeze has caught up to Ronan and is getting ready to go for a pass here on the back straight.
Well, that's nice. A little on-track action. I know we've seen a couple of DRS overtakes so far, but this looks to be a nice little battle heating. Oh, pardon me, folks. That is going to be a internet issue. We will be right back.
thought I invited him to the game.
Oh, you invite him to the party. Yeah. I- I'm.
I'm trying. I
Hold
thought
on.
that's what I did.
Here you go. Sorry, I'm racing hard. Sorry, Talon.
Sorry, buddy.
You're all
No, it's
good.
good, buddy.
Thanks for commentating.
Yes,
Yep, see you in
sir.
a bit.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, we had I got booted from the lobby there. Are you still
Let me
following the
see if I
action?
can- Yeah, let me get you an invite. There's no
Already got
action
my invite.
down
Back
here.
on track with Ginger Horizon now. All right, folks, we are back. We are back. You'll have to forgive us for the temporary dropout. Let us know in the comments if you can't hear us for any reason. IB, what did I miss?
Not really much. Easy Breeze ended up getting past Ronan and just continued to pull on. Does look like we had Shadow Wolf take a late pit stop here, put on a fresh set of softs, and is now out behind Brackish. So he's definitely going to be trying to get past Brackish, as Brackish's tires are about 10 laps older, coming right out of the pits.
Well, there we have it. Yes, so I'm down here riding on board with Shadow Wolf right now. Ginger Horizon, I assume, is still out in front of Deluxe Cord.
Oh, absolutely. Beautiful 29-second gap. I don't know what much more Ginger could be asking for at this point.
Maybe just for the race to finish quicker.
I mean, he's only got 7 laps.
That is true. We are in the closing stages of this, folks. On board with Shadow, who seems to be the closest on-track battle we've got at the moment. Besides, it looks like the Williams of Ollie's is that Ollie's on the back of a Alfa Romeo? Oh, it could be a lapped car situation. So yeah, this is about our only battle at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, we have plenty of lap cars here and back markers. As the Shadow does dive down to the inside, trying to pull along before the DRS zone, and should easily be able to go ahead and get this overtake completed before the corner.
Yeah, he'll just slot right in front there. No stress for either driver. Brackish doing well to give him lots of room there. Brackish probably realizing he's not even on this, not even a car maybe worth racing against at this point, because he's got to make those tires go 6 more laps. Though that would be within his window. I take that back.
Yeah, definitely within the window of Brackish here. Other than that, there's just really a lot of space here. If Brackish can keep onto the back of the Haas, then we might see Brackish try to fight back. I mean, he really doesn't have much else to lose at this point, as much of our drivers don't, with the amount of gaps that there are.
Certainly. Definitely. So we're getting into the closing stages of this race. What do you think the play of the day was for you, or maybe the overtake of the day?
I mean, we've seen a lot of great on-track action. I can't really narrow it one. I'm just going to say that these guys have really obviously fought it out here in the midfield, and the midfield is my heroes. So I'm going to pick everybody that fought in that midfield today. Everybody between Dark Ghost, John. A lot of action from those two. Unfortunately, they're both retired. But Ronan and Brackish, as well as the Force India and Ollies, have all held everything up here really, really well. So tons of entertainment for them. What about you? Do you have a particular pass that sticks out to you?
I gotta say, there was a lot of great driving from. He's now retired, but Dark Ghost had that wonderful overtake earlier where he sold the dummy pretty much picture perfect. I couldn't believe it. It was kind of one of those. You only get one of those a race, pretty much. So just to see it happen in the video game like this, where these cars are, so sensitive, it is always a fun thing to see on track. But I've got our position changes pulled up here. It looks, biggest winner today, definitely Easy Breeze climbing back from P19 on the grid to run P5. Same with the Shadow up from P17. And Brackish, unfortunately, being the biggest loser out of our top runners today. He started on the front row, has now fallen back to P9.
Very unfortunate for Brackish, but absolutely Easy Breeze. Doing exactly as I said earlier on the stream. You asked me what is the main goal here in Shanghai. How do you move up the field if you are in the midfield? And he's done exactly that. He's kept his nose clean. He's stayed out of trouble. He's made the passes when he needs to on track, and it's helped him move up.
Certainly, certainly, and safety cars may be coming into his favor. I know there's only been we had 2 VSCs and a full today.
That's correct. We have a full very early on.
It did certainly jumbled our order. In fact, most of the cars that retired qualified in the top 10. So that's always interesting to see. When if you're a midfield guy, you get a chance at some maybe tastier finishes. This is always a good day at the office, as it were. But these gaps are they're looking pretty girthy now. I don't see anything really underneath the second. What are you looking forward to this upcoming week, IB? What kind of racing are you going to be doing?
I'm not really 100% sure. I've been kind of sitting back since I jumped up in the booth last week. Jumped into the 5-lappers, had a lot of fun with that. Can't wait to do that again. Gonna see how many people are in D3 this week. Gonna be probably racing in that series if there is a reserve slot open. But I do know that I believe I'm gonna be joining Nick in D2 for commentary this week. We did have a great stream the other day, last night on D3.
Oh, well, so you'll be going back-to-back D2 and D1, or am I going to be pulling someone else in?
No, I will be going back-to-back. You will have me all Tuesday night, guys.
Wow. Well, folks, I hope you really like IB, because he's going to be entertaining you all this week. That is quite the night you got lined up for yourself. I couldn't do back-to-back races. I'm not quite as brave as you, my friend.
The key is Kirkland water from Costco.
Oh, I myself might step out for an adult beverage once this is all over. Got a couple cold Coronas in the fridge. That might be in bad taste now, but the beer is cheap because no one's buying it.
It's crazy how our society... no offense to the people that think that the Corona beverage is how you get the coronavirus, but I hate to break it to you and be the bearer of bad news. It is not.
Yes.
On the good note, though, I did get some more limes for my Moscow Mule, so I'll probably have one of those a little bit later.
Oh, that sounds perfect. A little ginger beer, a little vodka. That's always a nice way to unwind on a cool Saturday night. How are things looking in Oklahoma? Do you guys have a little rain out there in the Great Plains these days, or is it kind of a dry winter?
So we definitely are ramping up for storm season, as storm season does start next week. So I apologize if in the coming weeks, in the middle of streams, you hear some heavy thunder, because it does get very loud here. There is a very good reason our basketball team is called the Thunder. So should hopefully have some light rain, nothing too bad, but it's definitely been very rainy and wet here. Currently it's cool and 61 here though, and pretty enjoyable.
Well, that's good. I wish you well then. Careful with those storms. Us out here on the West Coast, we've actually been going through a really, really weird cool spell. People were actually reporting to find snow as far south as San Diego.
Wow.
So the West Coast going through a bit of a weird one. Now, on the upshot, it is keeping people indoors. So it's not all bad. It is helping out with the self-isolation, and someone who will not be self-isolating anymore. It looks like DeShadow Wolf's going for kind of a last couple lap here run at Groggy Oregano. Let's ride along with him and see how this is all panning out.
Absolutely. We've also got the Force India of trying to ring in Brackish here as well. So both seeing a position here fight for 7th and 9th here in the final stages.
Groggy getting a really bad exit there out of the final turn. Oh, we're going side by side. It's going to be a drag race into turn 1. That Haas car should just get through with no trouble. Yellow flag in sector 3. That appears to be a Mercedes going very slowly on track.
And into the pits, the Mercedes driver does go.
That is Sprightly, I believe. That will probably be a race over for him if he decides to retire. Otherwise, I think he would get classified anyway at this stage, correct?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how rules state, but it looks like he's just hopping onto a set of mediums. Maybe that's the fastest compound he had left, and he wants to go out there and just be like, hey, Ginger, you may have won the race, but I have the fastest lap.
Yeah, and he will have driven a longer distance, so they might have to award him the win based on that.
I apologize. I'm gonna have to stand back here. It looks like Ginger also pitted and still has a 12-second gap and put on soft tires. He's not gonna let that fastest lap go.
No, no, he will not. Let's go ahead and have a look here. Who has the fastest lap at the moment? That would be
Easy breeze.
Easy Breeze with the fastest lap, but I
With a
guess Ginger Horizon's
133.9.
he's not had enough today. He wants to just keep, raising the bar, as it were.
He wants that triple header, coming out on pole in qualifying, coming out on pole for the finish, and then having that fastest lap is just really the third jewel to his crown for today here in Shanghai.
Yeah, I believe that is the trifecta. Pole position, fastest lap, race win. Grand Slams, that's what they're called.
Grand Slams, hat tricks if you are a European football. But he's really just he's a class act. The league has been extremely gifted by having Ginger join, and he's just put on some amazing shows for us week after week here at PPR, and we're really glad to have him. His pace is obviously extremely fast.
Looks like Brackish, 2 laps to go, him and Brawny Man. Let's go ahead and have a look at the tires. Ooh, Brackish on those fresh softs. He might just try to get a move done here on the Ferrari late in the game. I wonder if Brawny Man will try to mount a defense. Neither driver even fighting for points. So this could just come down to, pride. Sometimes can be a lot tastier recipe in some cases.
Yeah, I know that we've definitely seen some battles with some Australia with Brackish. Those went down to the wire with Brackish and Kirk. Maybe some of that luck that I couldn't find in the Ferrari in the last couple of I can't say it.
Exhibition.
In the last couple of races, he can find and hold off Brackish here.
And I'm very excited to say Ginger Horizon has set the new fastest lap, and he has broken Michael Schumacher's lap record.
Okay, Ginger, now me and you are going to have to meet out back after the race. You're not allowed to beat Michael's records. You're allowed to be fast.
I do think it was Michael's was a 132.4, I think. So he smashed that by about 0.4. So hats off to the McLaren driver putting on a clinic here as he heads into Sector 3. What an excellent race from him today. Wow.
I actually don't think Brackish was going for the overtake there on Brownie Man. I think he's trying to go for a fastest lap as well.
Perhaps he is backing off, actually, in fact, to give himself some clear air. Trying to steal that point back. Let's see if he's got the goods. Let's ride on board with him. And
it wouldn't even matter unless he was, there in PPR Ollies. So, I mean, this is just a pride thing at this point.
Very reminiscent of Kevin Magnussen slapping on a fresh pair of tires at Singapore just so he can hold his title. But Brawny Man giving him a lot of dirty air. I'm not sure that the Toro Rosso driver can bring it home with the fastest lap. But congratulations to Ginger Horizon coming across the line. Fantis next across and Easy Breeze. Deluxe Court and looks like the Money Hustard will be rounding out the rest of the field now. Brawny Man maybe just giving him the toe here? It's hard to say.
I don't think so. I think the Brawny Man is struggling on those tires. Brackish is like, all right, I've enough of this. You've dirtied my lap. I'm going to pass you.
You've made me angry. You wouldn't like me if I was angry. And that Ferrari's just going to tap him in the rear there. Bit of a see you later, or maybe you have a chat in the pits after.
I think, Brawny Man being in a Red Bull sponsored car, it was seeing a little too much red there, and it irritated him.
Well, there you have it, folks. Your finishing order one more time, as Sprightly will be crossing the line here shortly. It's Ginger Horizon, your race winner. Deluxe Cord and Money Hustard are your podium places. Behind them are Fantis, Easy Breeze, Ronin, DeShadow, Groggy Oregano, Ollies, and Rustable. Your non-points finishers. Oh, and I'm going to get cut short right there.
As always, right?
as is tradition here at PPR. To the podiums we go now. Congratulations again to our drivers. Thank you all for who tuned in from wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. IB, any parting words for our fans out there?
Thank you so much, guys, for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to have you all here in the chat and PPR. Look forward to seeing you guys hopefully pick up some of the division races during the week, the league races, where points are on the line, as we have several very close point battles and battles during the week. But hopefully we will see you guys next week.
Certainly, certainly. As always, I'm your host, Best. Thank you for tuning in. Bring out the rest of your finishes here. Sorry, are Brawny Man, Brackish, Sprightly, John, Dark Ghost, Double OT, Night Shrimp, Nick, and King Kirk. Couple penalties being handed out there after the fact. Not that it makes much of a difference. But there you have it, folks. Thank you for joining us. I am Best Teon, and as always, stay classy.